How about our friends down in Miami, though? I want to go out to the 610 hotline and welcome in Channing Crowder, who does radio with our sister station, 560 WQAM. He's also the host of the Pivot podcast. Channing, it's great to have you back on the show. I think we had you on a couple years ago as well. What is the conversation in Miami just with the weather right now and how you guys perceive these negative 20 wind chills that we're expecting Saturday?
It's not positive for us. It's not being down here, but just the style of play. You know, that wide open offense we run. You know, the quick hitting stuff, just the speed of it. You know, guys, fast guys. Now it's cold, and it's gonna, be a little tighter. Tyreek might run a 4.3 and not a 4.2 on Saturday night. But so that's kind of the talk. But yeah, the weather has taken over. But I think schematically, like, this is going to be a real good game. We saw the first time. The Dolphins were down by 7 driving and having that 3rd and 4th down that went terrible and Tua fumbled and everything happened. But I think this is going to be a hell of a game on Saturday night.
We always say, like, oh, man, I wouldn't want to have to tackle anybody in this weather. You did have to tackle people in the cold weather. What the heck's that like?
Oh, man, it's my coldest game was Kansas City. I think Tyler Thigpen was the quarterback
2008
back then. 2008.
I went to that game. It was miserable, Channing, and I was just standing there.
It's crazy you say that because that was the coldest game, and they made fun of you when you were over there piled up. Everybody on the team was piled up by the space heaters, and it just wasn't. We ended up winning, And funny story, Joey Porter convinced me pregame to go out with no jacket on, no sweater. We're men, We're not gonna let the weather beat us. Both of our asses ran right back inside after 15 seconds of being out there. It was ridiculous. I think that was like 9 or 10 degrees. It was right above negative. But it's tough. The ground is hard. Falling down, like hitting the ground is probably the worst part because it's concrete pretty much. No matter how great the grass is, that soil is going to freeze up on you because it's moist. So yeah, it is different. It is playing in the cold is 10 times where I'd rather play in 120 degrees, and I have in Dolphin Stadium, than playing in that 20, 30, 10 degrees weather. It's a big difference.
We can talk about that impressive Miami offense in just a minute, but defensively, I mean, look, Channing, I'm not trying to call football players like different old, right? I'm 39, and so when I call football players old, that just means they're like younger than me, but just older than everyone else. Defensively, they're just signing a bunch of geriatrics to play defensive end. Do they have enough to stop Kansas City?
I think they do. And all those additions to Justin Houston's and, these guys they added Jason Pierre-Paul early in the year and cut him. They knew, after Jalen Phillips went out. So even Bradley Chubb, going out, that was our two guys, our two money guys, big money, pass rushers. But they're just signing guys. They're not going to do too much. Melvin Ingram was out there covering tight ends last week. So they know at that position of defensive end, we need some help. Is why they signed all those guys. So all those guys, pretty much, they're going to get 15, 20 reps max. They just try to see if we can just go over there and breathe on Patrick. Go over there and slap his back every now and again and make him feel uncomfortable because that's what you have to do to beat the Kansas City Chiefs. But yeah, with Bradley Chubb went down after Jalen Phillips' Achilles tear. That's the weakest point, I would say. That's the weakest point of our defense right now is pass rusher. So that's why they went out and got all these 35. Bruce Irvin, who was a friend of mine, actually. Hey, Bruce is a couple years younger than me, and I've been retired 13 years. So, yeah, they're trying to find a couple guys that can just, breathe on Patrick, make Pat a little uncomfortable in that pocket because of the injury bug. They hit the Dolphins, which is terrible. Terrible time to hit them late in the season when you really can't go and get a 27-year-old. Late in week 18, only person available is 36 and 38-year-old guys.
We're talking to Channing Crowder. He's a host down at 560 WQAM in Miami, also the Pivot podcast. How much do you guys buy into the playoff record of both these teams against playoff teams, I should say? Like the Chiefs are 1-4 against the current playoff field. I believe you guys down there like 1-4, 1-5. But the point differential is way different. Like, Miami's like negative 91 scoring differential against those teams. How much of it is discussed when you look at the competition and the Dolphins, other than the Cowboys game, that they haven't fared well?
Oh, yeah, both Bills games. The one that got to me was the Titans because that's the one loss they have because it was both Bills, Eagles, KC, and then there was one other team they lost to. But that Titans game was the one that kind of was a gut punch down here because the Titans aren't a good football team. But it means something. you're beating up on the Jets. You're beating up on, these teams that you can't really play. And then the record is better. They, end up losing the AFC East last week when they lost to the Bills and all. But it is concerning because I would say the Baltimore game is when it kind of hits you, where it's like, okay, you're playing a legit Super Bowl contender and you lose by 40, and that's when it hit us. Where, like I said, even the KC game, have a chance to win late. You know what I'm saying? There was a 7-point game. We had to drive at the end. You could tie it late. The Eagles game, it was a single digit deficit in the fourth quarter, and then the Eagles end up winning and going down and scoring the last points. But you were encouraged by those games with the playoff contending teams. Even the Buffalo game, the Dolphins had a chance to win that second one late when they lost to Week 18. But that Baltimore Ravens game is the one that put that trigger in my mind of I know we have the number one scoring offense. I know Tua is leading the league in passing. I know all that's going on, and it's great in totality for the regular season. But I'm not saying it. Mike McDaniel said it. We're not here to win the regular season. We're not here to go to the playoffs. We went to the playoffs last year. That's cute. We're here to make some noise in the playoffs, and that's what they're going to have to do. And honestly, coming up to Kansas City, that's the difference on Saturday night at 8 o'clock is if this team is really better. Because the record's better, but last year we got our butt whooped in the first round of the playoffs. Now we can't just come up there and get our butt whooped again in the first round of the playoffs. There's no progression postseason, and good teams want to progress in the postseason. It's cute to get in the playoffs when you're a good team.
We certainly know what it's like to face Tyreek Hill here in Kansas City more than others. I had said earlier, more than even him in this game because of how good the Chiefs secondary is, I'm afraid of Devin Achane. More than any other player on the field, he scares me for the Chiefs to get a loss. Am I right in being scared of what he's capable of?
I have been saying this all season, and people laugh at me, and they're kind of finally coming around with the law, which is crazy. It takes losses for people to listen to you. The Dolphins are rushing. They're a running team. In the Denver game, where everybody loved the 70-point game, they had 260 yards rushing, and Tua had 250. So, if they need Tua to go throw the ball, in which Kansas City does a lot, where Patrick's going, 36 or 45 and stuff like that, throwing the ball almost 50 times a game, the Dolphins' offense can't function in that manner, which is almost what I think. When you're in negative 20-degree wind chill, you're not going to throw the ball 50 times. It doesn't make sense. But the Dolphins are a rushing team. Achane, Jeff Wilson, he's the banger. He's big as hell. He's 6'3", 225 or something. And then if you can get Raheem Mostert back, who it's crazy to say, I know Tua's leading the league in passing yards and top 5 and all this stuff. Raheem Mostert has the most rushing touchdowns in the NFL. And that kind of shows you to your question where this Dolphins team is based around the run. Then you bring people up. You bring people in the box. You try to blitz, run blitzing. And now you have the Tyreek one-on-one with that little out motion when you get Tyreek with the head of steam coming downfield on the skinny post, on the comeback. And then every time you start jumping routes, then he's going to hit you for a deep one. But this offense, this Mike McDaniel offense, just like Kyle Shanahan with the 49ers, McVay does it sometimes as well. It's like it's based around the run, and then we find our mismatches with the motion, the shifts, and the adjustments pre-snap. But yeah, if the Dolphins can't run the ball, Tua doesn't lead the league in the categories he's leading in. So I would expect a big dose of running out of Achane, out of Jeff Wilson, and if Mostert back out of him on Saturday night.
It sounds like you kind of answered it a little bit there, but the Dolphins win this game if they do what, and they're going home and done for the season if what happens?
If they, first off, choke out Travis KElce, because I got to know, we're allowed to talk about gambling now on radio.
That's right.
Oh, yeah.
I got the Travis KElce over 55 yards receiving, which I thought that was, I got a small mortgage on that. I think that was a ridiculous number. But he's the weapon. Like Sky Moore, Kadarius Toney, who's a Gator. Kadarius Toney, I love watching at Florida. Kansas City has most drops in the NFL this year. So, we know Travis KElce can play. Choke him out, which they did do a great job in the first game this year. They did do a great job of covering Travis. But as you see what the Ravens did, you see what Buffalo did. They don't attack the corners. Nobody wants to throw at Jalen Ramsey. That just doesn't make sense. They attack the linebackers with tight ends. They attack the slot receivers on the Cater Kohus and on the second, third, fourth best corner on the league, and now on the team, and now Xavier Howard's out too. So that third corner is now going to be the second corner. So they're going to attack the inside guys, and that's where Travis KElce is. So I think Vic Fangio will do a good job of of limiting Travis. Even though I got the over, I think he'll get 60 yards with no problem. But, yeah, they have to run the ball. They have to keep, if I would say 70, if Kansas City gets into that 65, 70 plays in this game, like they're on the field too much and they're going to make you pay for it, where run the ball, keep them off, don't give them 13 possessions, 14 possessions. Let's make it one of these slower, lazier games. Run the ball, keep it close, and then win it late. Because, like I said, this isn't going to be a blowout in either direction. I really don't feel that way.
Lastly, I want to get you out of here on this. You played for the Dolphins, obviously went up against the Patriots throughout your NFL career. Therefore, you went up against a Bill Belichick coach team. Obviously, the news today, he's parting ways with the organization. We all expect he'll be a head coach somewhere here very soon. What was your reaction to that? And do you believe he's still, basically, does he still have it?
I think he still has it, and I think he wants to catch. He'll probably never say it, but he wants to catch Shula. I think he's less than 20 games back from Shula or something like that. So I think he wants to catch Shula. I played in the Patriot-run AFC East my entire career.
Ugh.
I played Tom Brady. I played the Patriots 12 times in 6 years. I think Tom Brady was out for 2 of those games when he tore his knee up. So I played all of them a number of times. He is an amazing coach, defensive guru, amazing-minded coach. It's him and Andy Reid were the 2 coaches, and Andy was in Philly when I was playing. Just like you knew there was going to be something different. Watch as much film as you want, do as much studying as you want. He's going to throw something different, a different wrinkle into every single game that he coaches in because he knows what you're looking at. They self-scout, and he does a great job. I was not surprised the Patriots moved on from him or mutually agreed, whatever.
Yeah.
They'll make it sound good. Hell, they fired him.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised they fired Belichick because of the success of what happened recently. And it's weird when guys take on the GM and the head coach because now you're responsible for talent and talent, maximization, I would say. So he wasn't drafting very well the last couple of years. We all saw it. There was nothing coming out of those first and second round draft picks they had, and that's where it went downhill. The Mac Jones, the Bailey Zappies, that they weren't bringing in a quarterback that could really play. And you're seeing it through their offense being one of the worst in the league. So he will be somewhere. I've heard Washington. They got rid of Riverboat Ron. I've heard Washington, Dallas. I think Dallas would be a great place for them if they don't go deep in the playoffs here, with McCarthy. I think that could be a good place, but I think it should be an established thing. So Dallas is sexy to me. That's just me saying, me guessing or hoping for, I guess, Bill, because I do respect Bill and I, care about Bill. He ended up bringing me in when I was coming out in 2005. I went and took a visit to the Patriots. And after my, pre-draft workout and all, I sat in his office. This is when his son, who's now coaching, was a kid, and they were just hanging around the facility. So I ate lunch with Bill and his 2 sons in the office with him, talk football, talk life, talk about family and stuff. So Bill is a good dude. He's probably the best coach, the GOAT of coaches in the NFL history. And him and his buddy Saban both might hang it up. So you're having two OGs of the game that might not coach anymore. And but Bill Belichick is a respected coach, and he was one of them coaches I knew I could watch all the film in the world, and he's going to throw some kind of wrinkle in, and if it gets you, it's going to get you because he's a genius football mind.
Channing Crowder, of course, hosts down in Miami for 560 WQAM. You can also check out the Pivot podcast. Appreciate your perspective, and I don't know, are you making the trip up from nice and warm Miami to bitter cold Kansas City this weekend?
Oh, it's no way I'm going to negative 20. It's funny. Me and my wife were talking about watching the game Saturday. I was like, I'll barbecue, we have some people over. We're getting the pool, and we thought about it. We're like, oh, man, it's going to be 60. The pool's going to be chilly. We get scared at 60 degrees. There's no way I'm leaving there for negative 20.
I don't blame you at all. Thanks for coming on, man.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you having me.